So welcome to the rematch. So a couple of weeks ago I absolutely murdered Andy over 5k, 1-0 to Wales. Andy has come back to me and challenged me to a rematch. He wants to level the scores. Last time it was 5k flat on a hard surface, suits me pretty well. This time Andy has taken me to the hills, to the trails, 10.5 miles of very hilly terrain. It suits him, I've got to admit, but I'm still confident that I'm gonna take him to the cleaners. If you haven't seen the 5k, you should go over and watch that video first. I'll put the link in my description. It's an epic. The critics are saying it's the best video ever made. Kipchoge's been in touch asking for tips. Andy's just pulling up. It's game day, it's race day. Let's get this on. So here's the game plan. I was meant to say the game plan before Andy arrived, and now he's just a few meters away. So I'm not sure I should say the game plan.
Don't tell me the game plan.
Right then, I've told Andy to clear off so I can tell you my game plan. Andy does have an advantage. He's been doing 10,000 feet of climbing every week in his training. I've been using my 2 feet, pretty much. I've done little to no elevation since I got injured. So I've come back and I've just been on the flat. So this will be interesting. So my game plan is, there's 2 things I'm worried about. Spiking my heart rate too much on the hills and getting lost. So my game plan is stick with Andy for pretty much most of it until I know my way home and hopefully kick on and win. That's the short game plan. The more detailed game plan is on the hills, I think he's going to be strong. So I'll try and stick with him. But if I feel like my heart rate's spiking a little too much, I'll let him go. I'm pretty good at going fast on downhills. So I might let him get a bit of a gap on the uphill and just fly down the downhill, catch him up, and then sit back with him as we make it around this 10-mile loop. I don't even know if it's a loop. I know we're starting at a gate and finishing at the gate, and that's pretty much all I know. So stick with him, kick on towards the end, and don't spike my heart rate too much on the hills. Famous final last words. I do love these races. I'm pumped, I'm motivated, I can't wait. I get nervous, and that's what you need. I think that's what I didn't have last week in the 5k time trial. So these nerves will hopefully pay off. I'm gonna have a gel now before we go, a caffeine one, a bit more caffeine. I've had a coffee, but the caffeine will help, and hopefully the gel, I won't take a gel during the race, but the gel will just top up my carbs to make sure that that doesn't become an issue. I'm going to go with more 10 today. I've been using Science and Sport for years. I've been trying more 10 more lately, and it's a really different consistency. It's like a jelly, but I do really like it, and it's sat really well on my long runs before I got injured. So that's what I'll go with. I'll just have one now. Hopefully it'll sit well, and the caffeine will aid me. It's going to just do a short warm-up, a few drills, and then get going. A race on the trails. I'm going to love it, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge. I think Andy's been quite clever and sneaky, picking a really hilly route, 10 miles race, which is longer than my long run at the moment. So he's got an advantage, but I do plan on putting it Wales 2, England 0. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, Matthew.
The longest stride in the forest. You've taken me to the trails. What am I doing here?
I have no idea, but you're about to be schooled, baby.
I love your confidence.
I'm confident.
It's so
today.
naive.
I'm going to burn you in the last mile again like I did at the 5k.
You sent me the link to the route. I haven't looked at it. Have you sent me the right link, or am I going to run a completely different route?
Well, I'm not going to say, because if I say that I sent you the wrong route, you're going to accuse me of cheating, whereas if we just don't end up at the gate at the same time and I go, oh dear, then I can get away with it.
He's waffling. Right, the route is gate to gate. Yeah, I'm going to be setting off pretty soon. Looking forward to this. Look out! Just waiting for the track to clear. The nerves are setting in. We've got dogs out here to support. The boars are waiting for our arrival on the trails.
Get my penny in a bad light.
So, Forrester Dean Runner, last time you said you were going to smoke me in the last mile. Is that the plan today?
I'm going to smoke you in the last 5 miles today. You're going to be dragging behind me on the last 3 hills. You don't know what's going to hit you, mate. I'm going to be here with a cup of tea, watching you run down there, dragging your sorry backside up there. England!
I'm going to have edited and uploaded my video by the time he finishes.
3, 2.
So I'm just sat in on Andy, getting in his head a little. We went through the first mile at 5:30. He's doing all the work, and I'm just sitting here, floating along. His watch says he's +7, but he can tell by my speech that I'm feeling good. 3 miles in, mile 2, 5:38, mile 3, 6:17, and we've hit the hills. I've had no option but to back off. My heart rate was up at 185, so letting it drop, and hopefully I can roll hard on the downhill and catch him. I'm back on. So I feel a bit like a Tour de France. I'm sat in the peloton and I know there's a big climb coming. And I know that I'm not a climber. First time I've been in the lead, taking a little bit of a lead on the downhill so I can take the final climb a bit easier. Made it to the top of the last hill in front. Kick it home now. Come on, Andy! So I pulled away in the final mile or so, half mile. Really happy. That was a really hard run, and in the 5k I was confident I was going to win, but in parts of this I really did start to doubt myself when he was pulling away on the uphills, and I realised just how strong he was climbing. Knowing that there was a couple more big climbs to come left me with some doubts, but I knew if I could get to the final climb with him, stick with him, let him drag me up, then I'd have it in the downhill. It's a little bit bittersweet because in the last mile Andy went over on his ankle. I said, oh come on, let's just stop, but he wanted to continue. But I don't know, it detracts from winning, and I'm more worried if Andy's ankle's alright. Hopefully it's just nothing and it'll just be a day off or maybe 2. But yeah, a really good race. Harder than the 5k. Long, hard slog that was. But what a training run. Andy is strong on those hills, I've got to give it to him. And he gave me a hell of a fight then. This was certainly an away fixture, but I loved it. And it's 2-0 to Wales.
Don't expect me to be gracious.
Talk to me, Forrester Dean Runner.
I'm frustrated, but in all seriousness, okay, let's be serious and let's be stupid. Let's be stupid first. I hate you so much. You're too good. You're fitter than you say you are. In all seriousness, we just ran sub 6 minute mile pace over 10 miles over about 900 foot of elevation. That was mental. I have never run those paces before in my life. That shows what you can do when you race someone and you have the adrenaline pumping. That was well worth it despite the loss.
How's your ankle?
It's alright. A couple of days I should be alright, I think. It's sore and throbbing now. Just don't wear the Endorphin Pros on trails. It just went right over. That didn't make the loss happen. The loss was already there at the bottom of the hill. I just started swelling as I was coming up the hill, hence why the shoe is off now. But we'll be alright.
Do you think you would have won if you didn't go over your ankle?
No, not at all. That is not an excuse. You had it in the bag because I went out too hard. I went out too hard at the first 2 hills, gapped you. You caught me at 5 miles and you just sat, you knew what you were doing. You sat on my shoulder, stay with me for the last 2 hills, and on the final one you had it in the bank. I didn't.
He hit the first big hill really hard and put a massive gap into me. And I looked at my heart rate and he was, I don't know, maybe 30, 40, 50 meters up the road and my heart rate was at 184 and I couldn't go with that. I had to slow down, let it settle and just hope to God he came back to me. I put a bit of a shift in on the next downhill to try and close the gap, and then when I caught him I just knew I had to be sensible with my effort to make it with him at the final climb and then kick it home. So yeah, it was a tactical race, even better than the 5k because you couldn't tell who was going to win in those first 6 or 7 miles.
And that is the series done. I challenged Andy, Andy challenged me, I got the win, but to be honest it was just really fun and something to focus on when there aren't really any races going around. Andy's meant to be training for this marathon, but there's a good chance it might be called off. So the fact that we got a chance to race each other twice, the build up, the race nerves, it was just a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed following along. I hope you enjoyed the series, 2 episodes. All the banter was light-hearted. I'm sure he's not offended. And it's just really great to see what great shape Andy's in. And it's really nice for myself to feel like my injury is gone and I can run hard and work out and race. And I'm excited for Project 30. I'm excited to push on from here and hopefully run that 30-minute 10k. I would like to get another race done. So if you can think of anyone that would be up for racing me or I should race, let me know in the comments. And yeah, it would be good to battle it out with someone else. I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Get in the comments, let me know what you want to see from me next. And like, share, subscribe, all of that. And follow along my new series of All In. I think that's about it really. See you next time.